So this is part 3 now of our spring workshop series, where we cover at least the main ideas about our software. And I always point out that there's more detailed information if you click on these links. And as always, this slideshow will be published later in the blog, so you'll be able to click on those links. And today, workshop number 3, it's better if we just one more time compare the two, because now we know enough about these two tools so that we can start talking about how are we going to actually use this in our daily work. And this is, before we move any further, it is really important that you understand the difference, because from this understanding, the potential best practices will just surface naturally, because if you understand why and how these tools were built, then you will find the best use for these tools in your own practice. Which one we're going to use will very much depend on the situation and on the trader. Psychologically, physically, time frame, speed of the trade. So one task, as I try to suggest here, the next step is to plan your own daily process and try to figure out when, a little decision tree for yourself, when would you use PRO STR and when would you use BT? Remember, in both cases, there's a situation before the entry, of course, and then the trigger comes. If the software is switched on, then we will place a order on the market, limit order or market order, and we are in a trade. PRO STR will use NT8's Advanced Trade Manager with all the advantages and a little bit of the disadvantages of what the NT8's ATM can do. It can do a lot of things for us, but not everything that we want it to do. And it is an algorithmic trading, of course. If I don't touch it, it will do it automatically. But as we mentioned, we have the option to interfere, to step in and override the algorithm. And what's important, and actually quite cool about NinjaTrader's ATM, is that if you do decide to override the algorithm, then the algorithm will automatically respect your choice, respect your decision. If I drag the target or the stop somewhere with the mouse and I drop it somewhere else, we're going to look at it in just a few minutes again, then it will stay there. And the ATM, whatever algorithmic rules were defined in the ATM, will take it from there, but your decision will not be overwritten. And I'm assuming that you know well NT8's ATM. I don't really want to spend too much time on it. It's part of NinjaTrader. So in all our work, we do assume that our customers are familiar with NinjaTrader, because how could we not be? That's our trading platform. And the ATM is just one part of NinjaTrader. So if you're not totally familiar with the ATM, then there's lots of resources on YouTube on the NinjaTrader channels. And there's, of course, if you press F1 in NinjaTrader, help comes up and you can read all about it. So one thing about NinjaTrader's ATM is that you can define the trailing rules in various units, pips, ticks, dollars, percentage. But if you think about these, none of these are flexible measurement units. And just think of a situation, let's say the NQ and the GC. Well, 10 ticks on the GC and 10 ticks on the NQ. Well, yes, it's 10 ticks, but it's a completely different animal. So what's the result of this? The result of this is that if you trade several instruments, then you probably, most likely, you will have to devise a separate ATM set of rules for each instrument you trade. Because you can't just use your NQ trailing rules on GC or ZB or ES or something else. It's a very useful tool, ATM. We have it for a reason. Many traders only trade one instrument, maybe two. There was a time when I had 2 or 3 different ATMs, ATM GC, ATM ES, ATM whatever. That's okay. And also, that's one thing. So between instruments, you need various settings. But there's another problem.
Even if you just trade one instrument, that instrument will also change from 1 week to the other. The account size that would be enough otherwise to trade the ES in a very boring environment, the same amount, the same account size would be tragically too small on a situation where one daily candle is 100 points on the ES. So there are two problems. One is between instrument and also one within the same instrument, depending on the different volatility conditions of that one given market. Now, this impracticality and rigidity is what BT takes care of, I'm proud to say, in a very, very elegant way, and in such a way that the elaborate math, it doesn't impact the performance of the software, but there's serious stuff going on in the background in BT. Because with BT, one setting is all you need. And that's not magic. It's not that we came up with the magic setting. There is no magic setting. The secret, if there is one, is that it's self-adaptive, which means if I just enter one sensible unit the way I want to trade, that would work across instruments and also automatically self-adapt as the instrument's behavior might change. So this is, I hope this kind of highlights again the difference between these two at the more theoretical level. We're in NinjaTrader. This is part 2 of our workshop today. An excellent question, and that question was about backtesting and optimization. And we have a whole series of workshops about this last fall. But just to run through this, to do it live again, to see what's going to happen. So here we are. Let's do it again. So the question was this: if I could demonstrate a backtesting and perhaps a little optimization with this, because that test was last fall, but now it's April. So what would happen if I ran that test again? Because the data, of course, would be different. We are, of course, using BT. We could be using BTX as well. BTX is a research tool, custom built for the job. But since today we're talking about BT mainly, I'll just stick to BT because we can do the same thing with BT. So there's a difference between BT and BTX, but that difference is irrelevant to what we are going to do in the next 10 minutes. So I'm just going to do it with BT. And the question was, let's run a backtest on lots of data, indexes, and let's see what we get since it's April the 2nd, so the data set will be different. We have managed to capture with software in NinjaScript a certain characteristic of the crowd. And the second part of the question was, if I could look into what time frame might be best. And so here's what I did. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to do the backtest, but I'm also going to include one optimization step. And what I'm going to do, I don't want to drag it on too much. So I'm just going to run a very simple optimization. The emphasis, the focus is really on the technique. So follow me and you can do your own tests also on whatever instrument, whatever time frame you want to test out. So this is what we're going to do. This is, of course, the strategy analyzer. Everybody knows, open it up in Ninja, and we're going to choose optimization. We're going to choose the Remek PRO STR BT. And I'm just using the default settings. 2 contracts. One, I will take profit at 1.5 ATRs. So relatively quickly, I will remove one contract, 50% of the position at 1.5 ATRs. Okay, stop loss, 3 ATRs. That's our standard ATR. Remember, Keltner channel, we try to enter somewhere in the middle. This distance is 2.5. 3 would be a little bit outside the Keltner. We're going to tighten stop if it moves. Okay, second contract. Here we go. The second contract, the stop is the same. There is no target because the second contract has no target because we're going to trail it from behind. If it goes to the moon, we go with it. That's the idea. optimized data series. It's very important that you're going to scroll down here. I don't know why NinjaTrader put it down here when the time frame is up there at the top, but here it is. You must click this, otherwise you cannot optimize the time frame. Here we go. This is what we're going to do. I want to optimize by time frame, minute in this case. So what are we going to do here? Now we do want Ninja to do a little number crunching. Optimize, tell us which is the best time frame between 5 minutes and 15 minutes in increments of, and here you type whatever you want. If you type 1, then Ninja will run 10 tests between 5 and 15. If you type 5, then Ninja will test 3 scenarios, 5, 10, and 15 minutes, and will tell us which is best. So just to save time, I'm going to do this, okay? And remember, we are running it on 4 instruments. So 3 scenarios, 4 instruments, that's 12 iterations. And look at this, just to give it a little weight, I'm using more than 4 years of data, which means that our strategy will be exposed to very different circumstances on 4 different instruments. Let's see what we find. Are you guys ready? So I'm going to run, and it says iteration 1 of 12. And if you have any questions about this in the meantime, then please type it in now. Well, right now, this is just more about the technique of verifying our edge. What we're doing is gather very strong evidence that there is something here that is worth pursuing. Okay, so 43 seconds left. The 10 iterations already done. So just a minute or two, 4 years, possibly 10,000 trades on 4 instruments, 15 minutes. So it's pretty, very much intraday. Eventually the ES worked well, 4 years, but the first 2 years was not really that good. But if you notice, we didn't lose the account. How many trades on the ES? 3,800 trades, okay. And this is what really matters to me. 57% of trades were winners if the win-loss ratio is good. Going back to the question, what we need to really answer is what time frame was best, and here we go. Here's the answer, 15 minutes. Out of the 3, 5, 10, 15, 15 was best. 58%, the NQ, robust. 4 years, how many trades? 3,800 trades in a 4-year period on a 15-minute time frame. And I could show you the others, judging from the total net profit and the performance. All of them, even the combined, is convincingly above 1.0. This is the YM. I'm obviously proud of this product and what we achieved here. But I want to emphasize one more thing before we close this screen. Let's say this is our first day of trading. We're going to start a new job. So how do you want to trade? Do you want to trade a system with an edge, or do you want to trade a system without an edge? It's your money, up to you. Everybody would, of course, say, well, of course, I want to trade a system with an edge. Otherwise, it's lottery. Otherwise, it's Las Vegas. It's gambling, which is fun, but we know where gambling leads to. It's not us who's going to make the money here, but the house. In this game, we want to be the house. And this curve provides strong evidence that we are, in this game that we are doing, in this particular methodology, we do have an edge. The other thing is that this is not 50 grand or 150 grand. This is a couple of $1,000s. So the way I see it is that you can start building a system and spend 3-4 years, or you can listen to us and save yourself years of development time. 4 years of data, 15 minutes, 4 instruments, the good, bad, and the ugly, everything, no filtering, nothing, except for the trailing stop. We didn't customize anything, and they're convincingly in the black, which means profitable, all 4 of them. And the drawdowns, except for the ES, spent a little time in the red. That's definitely a fact. Here we go. And RTY as well. But remember, this was sideways, 20,000 drawdown, and then we came back up. The ES was the other one. So you do spend a little time in the red. And there's also one last thing, the Monte Carlo analysis. From the drop down, I select Monte Carlo. And what that does is that there are, let's say we're on the YM, 3,836 trades. We're going to imagine that we're going to put them in a bag and we're going to take them out randomly. So it's the same trade, but it's a different order over a 4-year period. In the other video in the fall, we saw the same thing. What we want to see in this little Monte Carlo test is that all the imaginary data series are by and large very similar. The more similar they are, the more robust the system. In other words, these lines, they don't go all over the place, but they stick to the same area, and hopefully they go more up than down. So what you see here is that whatever order, random order, I grab those trades from the big bag over a 4-year period, we end up with the same results. I don't need more evidence to tell me that this is a viable system. Okay, so I hope this highlighted this quantitative side of our strategy. I can show you with numbers that this is an efficient algorithm to capture a certain aspect of market behavior, and we have the data to back it up. All right, so thank you very much, and mindful trading.